Welcome to the Colt Starting Arrow series. So Arrow is a 3-year-old colt who was a surprise baby. So I brought home a rescue horse, my gray mare Rebel, about 3 years ago, and the next day she popped out a baby. And so I kept Arrow from the time he was a baby till he was about 6 months old, and then one of my good friends ended up taking over ownership of him. Well, now about 3.5 years later, Arrow is old enough to be started under saddle, and so she has sent Arrow back up to Wild Child to be started. So right here I'm going to show you guys a little clip of pretty much all of Arrow's saddle training. He has had a saddle on his back and he has had a rider on his back bareback, but that is pretty much about it. And I've kind of gone down there over the past 3 years to work with Arrow a little bit, show Maddie some things, and just support them on their journey. But now he's finally up here for 30 to 60 days to get him fully started. So I'm super duper excited. In the very first training session, typically I like to do an evaluation session, and this is just seeing what all the horse knows. Because I've worked with Arrow extensively over the past 3 years, he pretty much knows a lot. So all of this is just going to be a refresher course. Beginning off, I have something that I like to call the prerequisites to colt starting, and these are a bunch of different behaviors that I like a horse to know before I start learning to ride them. One of that first behaviors is lunging in both directions, and as you can see, Arrow is doing great at it. A little slow, but I've got no complaints. After that, we have desensitizing. Usually I like to desensitize with a variety of objects. Because I know him, I'm just going to focus on the lunge whip right now, and you can see that he's already doing great. Then I have picking up all 4 feet, which he already does wonderfully. Then there's backing up, and this is something he could definitely use some work on. There's lateral flexion, which I know that both his owner and I have not worked on very much, and as you can see, this is something that we'll definitely be focusing on in the next 30 to 60 days. Vertical flexion, which he actually didn't do too bad at. Yielding the hindquarters, and yielding the forequarters, another area of focus in the future. If you are interested in learning more on the prerequisites, please go and look through my page. I have lots of different stuff with lots of different horses. I'm trying to make this series specifically about the first 30 to 60 days under saddle. Yes, there will obviously be groundwork involved, but I'm trying to kind of shift my area of focus because I do a lot of groundwork and I have a lot of videos out there on it. What I'm doing right now is I'm introducing the saddle pad. Like I said, he has worn a saddle before, so this is not something new to him. I'm just throwing it on his back and taking it off and throwing it on and taking it off. And you can see he's standing just pretty polite and calm, so then I'm going to move on to the saddle. Moving on to the saddle, you can see I throw it on his back and he does just fine. Now, let's say Arrow were to be a little bit more nervous or freak out or something like that. Chances are I'd start incorporating some reinforcers, throwing the saddle on and off and on and off and on and off. A lot of times I also won't cinch the horse up on the first go around. I will actually do some prep work with the lead rope and no saddle at all so that they can kind of prepare for that. Arrow is a very level-headed horse. He has always been super sweet and good-minded since the day he was born. And so with him, you know, he might be a little bit different than, let's say, your horse who has never had a saddle on his back before, who has never done any of this before and is just completely new to it. Arrow does have some experience in all of this, but please keep in mind that every single horse is different. So yes, while Arrow is super chill and relaxed, he's had a lot of prep work to build up to this moment, and so I'm going to try and educate you guys as much as you can, but again, I have lots of other video series out there that you guys can also go and watch to see different horses responding to the different things that I do. We're going to speed things up for time purposes while I adjust some things on the saddle and get it ready to use. So you can see right here, I'm going to start asking Arrow to lunge in a circle around me because I want to see what he's going to do. Some horses, they're going to buck. You can see here that Arrow doesn't buck. There's a lot of stigma around horses who buck. A lot of people like, oh, when you're starting a colt, if your horse bucks, that means you failed. You did something wrong. And don't get me wrong, if your horse is bucking and rearing and kicking and just won't stop, there's a good chance that you miss a step. However, saddle breaking is like something that's like so new to the horse. So like sometimes they're going to buck. It's a way that they communicate, oh my god, this feels weird, I don't know what to do about it. So if your horse bucks, don't panic. It doesn't necessarily mean you missed a step. There's a difference between a horse who bucks a few times and a horse who just completely shuts down and bucks for however long. Right here, you can see that I'm starting to smack those stirrups and make some noise with them. Arrow raises his head, but he really doesn't do much moving, and so all of this is a really good sign, and to be honest with you guys, I wasn't really intending on hopping on him today, but he's doing really good, and he's showing me all the signs that he's ready to progress. He's calm, he's relaxed, he's paying attention, so I'm gonna try and hop on him. You'll see here, I go to put my foot in the stirrup. Arrow's looking at something off in the distance, but he really doesn't care. I'm bouncing around a lot because if he were to freak out with me bouncing, chances are I wouldn't go to what I just did right here and lean up over his back and pet him and show him some love. I'm going to hop off right here, and then I'm going to switch sides and go to the opposite side and do the exact same thing. A lot of people, they argue about whether you hop on the left or the right side. As a colt starter, I like to hop on and off from both sides because God forbid something were to happen on the trail and I can't hop on from the left or the right side and I have to do the other one. I'd rather my horse be prepared. So always do things from both sides. You can see here I go to get up on him. He does take a few steps and moves a little bit, but I apply some pressure with those reins, ask him to stop, and then he stops and proceeds to let me do my thing. This next time I go to hop on him, I gather up my reins and I pretty much just do the exact same thing. You can see he's giving me no reaction. He's not really moving as I go to hop on him, and so these are, again, all just signs that he's ready to progress. Right there, he moves a little bit. I pet him a little bit, and then I kind of rotate myself so that I'm sitting sideways in the saddle, and he's looking off in the distance, but he doesn't really seem tense. He doesn't really seem bothered by this. So I'm going to put my leg all the way over. Normally, I don't do it over the horn. I do it over the back. I don't know why I did that, but I did. You can see that I adjust myself in the saddle, and then I'm just going to give him some love. Lots of pets and show him that he's doing great, and you can see that he's really focused on whatever the fuck else is out in the yard than me, so that's a good thing. He's very relaxed. His hind leg is even cocked, so he's not bothered, and I'm proud of that. Now I'm going to try and get some forward movement out of him, and I'm going to do something called ask, ask, tell. And so this is basically where you can see I do these 2 small kicks and then a big kick. Ask, ask, tell. Ask, ask, tell. And what I'm doing is I'm starting with the least amount of pressure possible and increasing that pressure as I go along. The goal is that I can just do that small little squeeze and he's going to move forward off of my leg. But the thing is he doesn't know what the hell I'm asking him to do. He's like, okay, she's just moving her legs. So it's always important that you know how to release pressure immediately as well, because if you don't release that pressure about 3 seconds after that behavior, they're not going to be able to associate your response with the behavior. So always make sure that you are able to release that pressure quickly, and again, just start with the least amount of pressure possible. You can see here that Arrow's walking off, and he's really not doing anything crazy. He's kind of just walking. Here he stops on his own, and so I'm going to try and get him to walk forward again with that same ask, ask, tell. He does start to walk off again, which is exactly what I want him to do. Some body language I want you guys to point out. His head is a little high. His ears are darting from place to place, but his gait is pretty slow, pretty smooth. And here his head actually starts to lower, and you can see that he's actually pretty fucking relaxed. And so this is good. Like, we want those first rides to be relaxing. We want them to be calm, and we really don't want any fireworks. You know, if our horse doesn't buck or freak out, great. Obviously, yes, sometimes it's going to happen because we're working with living, breathing beings. But at the end of the day, if we can have a nice, calm ride like this, that's perfect. You can see here in just a moment that Arrow actually starts to pick up into a trot. He's like, oh, let's go a little bit faster. And so all I do with this is apply a little bit of pressure with my reins, lean deep in my seat, and he starts to slow down again. When I'm doing first rides, I don't like to incorporate too much at once. Like, honestly, Arrow can walk in whatever direction he wants. He can pace up and down the fence if he wants. And I just want him to get comfortable with me sitting on his back. And so I'm not going to start applying a lot of rein aids or leg aids or anything like that. I'm just going to kind of let him walk wherever the fuck he wants. I'm going to try and encourage him to continue to move forward, and if he starts to go a little bit too fast, I'm going to try and apply some pressure and get him to slow down. And aside from that, you also might notice right here that I'm trying to incorporate some brakes into this. I'll start shifting my pelvis and seeing if he'll stop when I ask him to stop. But again, these first rides, I really don't want to ask for a lot. I just want the horse to feel comfortable on my back, and if I'm throwing a new rider on them, a saddle on them, and rein aids and leg aids and all this other shit, then it can be a lot for a horse for the first time. And so, you know, right there, he stopped and looked off in the distance. That's okay. He's not trying to bolt. He's not trying to buck or rear or anything. Yeah, he speeds up from time to time, but other than that, he is being extremely relaxed and just walking wherever he wants. And again, I want this to be a very positive, pleasurable experience. I was on him for maybe 10 minutes, and then I chose to hop off. Why? Because he was doing really fucking good, and I want to reward that behavior and just call it a day right there. So I'd say it was a pretty successful first session.